start, but you know, here we are. Yeah, I'm just like trying to get my head around what I have to do. Like lots of just, well, you know, if that makes sense. Because I think I finished off yesterday with like some things half done. Where was it? Initialize character, initialize item. So yeah, that should item containers. And yeah, just this simple job, like, so let's explain this one. So I was refactoring items because I wanted it to be done in the same way as everything else, same way as a character, where we have the library of items and then we spawn items with those parameters to make the item, right? Rather than just having a pre-made prefab. The reason I wanted to do that is so that I could easily access it from the encyclopedia without having to do like I probably could have just done that anyway. But yeah, I did it so I could see it in the encyclopedia, so we could just have like a nice library of items that we could see. It turned out to be quite a lot more work than I thought. It would have been better off. I would have been better off making a switch case where I check for items by name and then just write the stats again. That would have been quicker. And it would have had the same outcome. But now that I'm here, it's like, okay, yeah, no, if I'm doing it like that, then when I initialize the item, because I don't want to be, because I'm not instantiating them as they're needed, I'm instantiating them all at the beginning, because, you know, that's how you're supposed to do it. And yeah, it's kind of melted my brain a bit. And that's left me. It's kind of like if you're a solo programmer, you kind of have to be your own producer. And I have not done that today. Like, to be fair, like the reason this is all a problem is, the reason this is all a problem is because, like, but yeah, basically I haven't like set up my to-do list properly, and I kind of, yeah, I don't know, I'm just not feeling it today. I kind of slept in. When I say slept in, I mean until like 8:30. Usually I take my kid to nursery, but my wife did that for me, and it was like, and I went to bed at like, I don't know, not too late, but like probably got to sleep around midnight. So, you know, I've had like more than 8 hours, but I'm just, I think making games it really does a number on your brain. Anyway, enough complaining. And I think I just look at this and I'm like, how do I make this bit of script work? But I'm getting there. And I'm hoping this will work. But if it doesn't, I'll figure it out. It's fine. It's just like I end up going to lots of different bits of code, which kind of triggers my brain to think about it. And my brain is not ready to think about it, basically. So yeah, off to a rough start today, but you know, that's fine. Part of the job. Something we have to be prepared for as we endeavor to make games. I could probably have avoided this by just being a bit, well, just like finishing this yesterday, despite being a bit too tired and burnt out to do it, and just kind of better preparing for the day. But I'm kind of like finishing yesterday's work today, and then I can kind of, I'm probably not, so I'm actually going to change the name of this stream to fixing items, because I don't feel ready to do the balancing changes. There's a big one there. I don't feel quite ready to do that at the moment, so I'll probably leave that for tomorrow, maybe even Monday actually, because that is a big one. So for now, I think let's do the thing where we just go through all of these compile errors and find the problems, and then we'll yeah. I think we've got a. This is the thing that I ought to do before I forget. Where basically we take item value. No, we've lost it. I didn't want to compile. Shit. So we've lost the value. So like the bomb. So like each of these numbers, XP gem effect amount, rare XP gem. I can't remember how much it was exactly. I think it was like 5 and then 20. I might have to then, in order to get the same numbers, I might have to, because stopping something in the middle of doing it, like it shouldn't have compiled, but because I closed and opened the project, it's like it's not showing me what these numbers were because they were in the prefab. Chicken was 50. Getting into the habit of always writing F after a float, just because otherwise it's prone to some issues. Chest, it didn't matter. Collector didn't matter. Summoner was like the amount of people we summon. I'm just going to say 8. Again, I can't quite remember, which is troublesome. And then how much damage did the bomb do? I think it did 100. And the soul healed for 20, I think. So let's have a look at all of this. So then we did need to do the item type. Oh, good morning, Jack. Thanks for joining again. How's it going? How's your tutorials going? Chest. Collector. So this is all stuff that was written out on the prefabs, but it's better to actually have it written up in a library like this. And then you construct the item based on this rather than the prefab. Is this soul or chicken? Okay. I don't know why they're not just both heal. Kind of defies the point of having an item type if it's just kind of doing it by name, but never mind. Okay, and construct item. I don't think we need that because we do the initialize object pool. So let's get through these compile errors. So dropped item equals did we have get pooled item? Okay, we do. So there's no reason that that shouldn't. Yeah, like there's I don't know if you've heard this concept. I don't know if it's the same in web dev, but like you there's an issue where people get stuck doing tutorials because they just keep doing the tutorial and then they never actually start to make the thing. So just a caution about that. It's like, yeah, try to give yourself a limit of how many tutorials you're going to do before you start making something. A tutorial is good to just kind of get your head around the basics, but then the rest, especially with today with Gemini and stuff like that, you can just ask questions if you have them, like how do I do this, and you can get good answers. Okay, get pooled item wants the name of the item. I'm not going to question that at the moment. I think that's where my brain started to melt a bit yesterday, because I was like, wait, what is all of this? Dropped item equals... Get pulled item equals... prefab. No, we don't do prefabs. But because it's a pulled item... Yeah, so we have... dropped item. Okay, this all doesn't change. Do I need Unity engine.random? I think that's... I got an AI to help me make this, because this was a really good example of like just getting an AI to make you a little bit of movement that's not physics based. Yeah, 27 hours long. So I would say with that tutorial, like do that tutorial and then never do another Unity tutorial again. Just start on the thing you want to make. What kind of game is it that you want to make? Do you have a game idea in mind, or do you just want to kind of like if the answer is you want to get a job as a game programmer, then I've got some bad news for you. Not that you won't get it, but it's going to be difficult. Dropped item. Okay, so move speed. Okay, yeah. So move speed should be reset. That makes sense. And we're going to do dropped item dot move speed. Yeah, this is all part of. I'm going to just be really tidy and say new item container. So it's really clear that we're talking about the item container here. Okay, so what, like 3D-ish? Okay, what, like not like a walking simulator, or maybe like a sort of what's that game, 3D game? Like obviously not Dark Souls, but like something a bit more accessible, like Another Crab's Treasure. I haven't actually played it, but it's on my wish list. Item container doesn't have. Did I get rid of that? We need move speed. Okay, that's why it needs to be public. Good to know. Like a combat game, or like a shooting game, or like a walking simulator. Probably a walking simulator would be a good place to start. I made one of those. Okay, let's just get rid of this, because in theory we don't need the item here. Items transform. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Obviously you've got the big one. What's it bloody called? God, my brain is not working today. The Valve one, the big one, Half-Life. Half-Life does that. But yeah, there aren't that many, considering. Like I think they used to be back in the day, like Resistance and stuff like that. But yeah, Half-Life did that, and then Half-Life Alyx is like a more modern one. I still haven't played Half-Life Alyx. When I played Half-Life Alyx is when I realised that while I could play Beat Saber, part of my controller wasn't working. So I contacted Amazon, and I was like, who I bought it from, and I was like, hey, can I just get a new controller? And they were like, no, but you can return the entire thing for a full refund, and I did that, and I was like, you know what, I'll get another one when they release a new one. Yeah, I do remember there was a game that was quite hyped for a bit, centered around an alien abduction. It's like a first-person horror game, but I don't then remember it going anywhere. But I thought that was a cool concept. Indie Unreal game around an alien abduction. Yeah, there it is. So if we look at They Are Here, let's see how that did. Let's see. Okay, there's a demo. So yeah, this is exactly as I thought. This is the game I was thinking of, I think. And it's probably trapped in development hell. But this looks cool, right? Lens flares and something like this. I mean, it's always horrible, like when you come up with a game idea to someone just be like, "Oh, is it like this one or this one or this one that already exists?" Like, I've had that experience as a demo. But yeah, there's like, don't be put off by if like there's a game that already is kind of doing what you were thinking of. Yeah. Well, yeah, like that could be interesting, like a sort of spiritual X-Files game, right? Like yeah, like not just like yeah, you go through a series of mysteries. I remember there was a Men in Black game on the PlayStation 1, terrible game, but it was quite fun that it had like several missions. I don't know how many because I couldn't beat them all. And each one was like a different urban myth that basically turned out to be aliens or didn't. I think that was always brave. Only games back in the day could have been like, oh yeah, there's a mystery, you have to go and find out, and then you find out, nah, it's just people messing around. But you know, yeah, it sounds like you've got yeah. So you're more interested in like the sci-fi, I guess. Yeah, it sounds like you've got a good. I mean, I'm just reading off of like a few messages here, but it sounds like you've got like a strong idea of like what kind of story you want to tell here. So you'll be looking for. I look forward to seeing that. Okay, make item effect. Okay, because it's the item effect should be. So when we make it rain, we should be asking for item container. Because it's rain and that's what we call it. No, we just need the name of the item. Oh yeah, that's tough. There's that one that they do for like Papers, Please and stuff like that. Oh no, this is so dodgy. Yeah, but like you know, like the Papers, Please voices where they're like, you know, like they kind of like a sort of wobbly voice. I did something like that for if you look at Interrogation Simulator. So you just kind of like record, so you get that kind of voice sound, you know. I remember what's the game? Graveyard Keeper had really good ones. They were really funny. and they can kind of give you that sense of voice without having to record hours and hours and hours of dialogue. Oh, good. Okay, good. This was a mistake, this item thing. This was a mistake. The item code was fine. The item code was fine. Should I just start rapidly undoing? Except I closed the project between, so I'm not going to be able to undo everything. No, let's see this through to the other side. So we drop item name. What's wrong with this? Yeah, okay, we've got that. And then when we make rain, we ask for an item name. And if item name is not equal to NA. Okay, let's see how that works. We're definitely going to get brought back to this make rain thing. Initialize item containers. Okay, yeah, we're going to need our prefab for a blank item. No, I didn't want to move it. We need our prefab for a blank item. And I guess items is a good place to keep it. I'm in GM. Yeah, Papers, Please is better, probably. I mean, you know, Papers, Please made tons and tons and tons of money. Interrogation Simulator did not. Okay, this is a bit messy. Oh yeah, we do have item container prefab. Okay, we do already have that. Items. Except we would have to go. So we make. And then this goes in items transform. So we make all of the items in the items transforms. And then here, make the item. And then yeah, new item container. Okay, objects. Yeah, initially inactive. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would love that feeling. I mean, I've made decent money from a lot of my games. Like it's a sort of trickle, you know. I haven't made enough to not be worried about looking for a job or anything like that. But I've made enough that, like, I reckon, given 10 years, eventually I'll be able to consistently make games that make enough money to pay me for the time that I put into them. And it's like that. Yeah, that's my goal. It doesn't even have to be a big stack. I'm just thinking, like, if I could make minimum wage but making my own games, that would be really cool. And it's possible. It's possible. There's a journey to it. Like, I've got a YouTube series which kind of lists out a few points that I've learned, which is like do's and don'ts. Obviously, some people are going to have a much easier time because they're smarter or because they've got better advice or whatever. But so I've been kind of stumbling through this process. Like, Interrogation Simulator did make me decent money, especially considering the time I put into it, and it's going to continue to make it. Blacksmith, probably by now, after a long time has passed since me releasing it, has paid me for the time I put into it, especially considering, like, I learnt to make a game while making it. Grid Slayer, definitely not. Love Quest might do eventually. Human Factory, definitely not, and that took like 2 years. So, you know, it's kind of hit and miss, but I feel like I've got the formula down. You need to make a good game with lots of love in it. And you need to make good choices, and you need to make sure it's a game that you can finish. Like, my big mistake with Human Factory was that it relied on a lot of skills that I didn't have. And to get the talent that I would have needed to finish that game, it would have cost me more than I'm willing to gamble on a game that's already been released in early access. So lots of mistakes there. Okay, so make the item. New item container dot, and we need to set up all the bits. So item, and there's not actually that much to it. I'll just grab these. We'll just do commented out so that just so I've got like my list here. Okay, new item container dot oh wait, no. Yeah. Oh wait, so it's just gonna have the item. So yeah, item container dot item equals item. Easy. New item container. So actually we need to look at the components of the container and make sure that any of the ones there are. So let's just grab all of this and then delete as necessary. So the item, yep. Move speed should be like initialized to default. So I don't think, let's just put that, it's not, it doesn't hurt. Dot move speed equals 5. It's just new item container dot sprite renderer dot sprite equals, come on, typing. Okay, audio source. It's just an audio source. Oh wait, do I want to set audio source dot clip? I think I do. Yeah, it's a good question. How do I try to market my games? I generally haven't. I kind of had a build it and they will come mentality. So, which was wrong. So with Blacksmith, it was like, I basically did nothing. With Human Factory, like also kind of did nothing. I started figuring out how to do this later. So like, obviously what a lot of people do is they just pay to get some ads up, right? And that makes sense, that works. But you might not have the money. And also like that's kind of so what I try and do is just have a YouTube. Like that's actually my plan, is to get my YouTube big enough. But I can teach you a couple things about that I've learned about marketing a game and how Steam works. Obviously Steam's going to change, but it's like you don't need to, because Steam will market your game, same as YouTube. YouTube will market your videos. The thing is, it's like making a fire, right? So like Steam is the oxygen, but you've got to supply the kindling, which is like the game, and then you've got to supply the or you've got to supply the logs, the fuel. That's the game, and then it's like the kindling is oh yeah. So she can help you get your, like, if you did make an ad, they would help you with that. And then you've got to supply like the kindling, like the twigs or the paper that you're going to use to actually get the fire started. So it's like you don't need to supply every single sale of the game through your marketing. But if you can get a certain amount of people to buy your game on day one and review it, and we're thinking like, I spoke to some marketing people, they gave me some free advice. It's like, if you can get your first 10 reviews, and I don't mean like just getting your friends to do it, but like if you can get your first 10 reviews to happen in the first like couple of hours of when your game is launched, right? Which is kind of insane because people need a bit more time to play the game. But if you can get a bunch of people to buy the game and get your first 10 reviews basically on the first day, then that is going to be enough to get you to the point where Steam is then going to do it. So it's like making a fire. You don't have to sit there with a flamethrower blasting at your fireplace, right? That's impossible. That's what big AAA companies do. Need to have like just the right amount of kindling, and obviously your fuel, your game has to be good, has to be marketable. You need a good trailer, and then I think just like having lots of content around it. So like what I've started doing is just making videos about my games and like developer commentaries and just playthroughs, and obviously write to a bunch of YouTubers to try and get them to make the game. And you just need to do a video of the game, and you just need to do enough, but you need to time it right. So like I actually got a YouTuber called Retromation to play Grid Slayer, and he's like a pretty big YouTuber who got like quite a lot of views on the video, but the game wasn't ready yet. So in that case, the kindling was right, but the fuel wasn't, like the fuel was wet. The fuel wasn't ready yet. So we got a fire going, but there just wasn't enough fuel yet. It's like very lucky for him to have chosen to make a video about my game. The game was just not quite in its best state at that point. And you need that to happen, like when your game is ready to release. Like, so I'm kind of waffling a bit, but yeah, how to market your game is you just need that first spark, and then the algorithms will do the rest. In the case of Interrogation Simulator, it was just purely organic. Like I didn't really market that game. Next Fest is a good one, but basically Interrogation Simulator kept getting good reviews, and then Steam showed it to more people because it's got like a 97% positive review score. Thank you. And then so that game has kind of survived just by being good, or by being cheap enough that no one ever feels like leaving a bad review because it's £2. Okay. Character, yeah, we don't need that. Actually, should we set that at the start? I think it's better to, because I think that only comes on when the item actually comes on, but if we could set it all up here, that's slightly better optimized. Okay, and then I think all of this is relevant. Actually, no, I don't think it is. I think this is like, because it's the first time we make it, we don't have to set these things. These are set by having them written on the thing. Collider, dice. Yeah, I think that's good. So we set the things that are unique about the item, which means those should probably, like, the only things that are unique are these ones, and the rest actually applies to every single item. That. Okay. But yeah, it's like it can be a bit daunting to think about marketing, and you think about what a big game does, but you don't actually need all of that. You just need to get a good start. You just need your day one. You need to help to supply Steam with a lot of sales. The other one is Next Fest, and I've got advice about that as well. So Next Fest is really good. You have to like, a lot of people will say market your game as soon as possible. I mean, that's kind of true, but not for Next Fest. It's like, as a solo dev, my advice to my past self, and I've always got this wrong, is don't do Next Fest until your game is basically finished. Because Steam will show it to people. So you're going to want to have your absolute best foot forward. Yeah. Interrogation Simulator. Yeah, when you slam desk on this character, their response is X. It's the second one. So there's no random in Interrogation Simulator. What Linux will run smoothly on this potato laptop? Oh, I don't know. I'm not very good with computer specs, so I can't read that at a glance. I think 2.4 gigahertz is not very much in this day and age. I think that's about what I've got though. What Linux will run smoothly? My games will run smoothly. I can tell you that much. I can tell you that Interrogation Simulator will run smoothly on your computer. I think Blacksmith runs pretty well, and that's online. All my games are on Linux, and they all run on a potato. Like because I made most of my games on a potato. In fact, I made all this computer that I'm using now isn't a potato, but I like to make sure all my games run on a potato. Okay. If item type. Okay. Item.item type. Yeah, happy with that. Okay, good. Item. Is this going to make... Okay, so we need to do this. It needs to be a new item, because we don't want that. It's like a common paranoia that I have. So item equals new item. Dot effect amount equals, like, we just need to like make a copy of the item. No, I think it will be easier to effect amount, we want to have like float doubled. So where does doubled come in? Oh, okay, God, that's so awkward. Okay. Making this work. Item. This was so much more difficult than I was expecting it to be. Oh dear. If item. I was hoping this would just be like a quick bit of what is attracted? I was hoping this would just be like a quick bit of stuff. It's turned out to be a lot of work just to change the way that items run for no good reason other than to be able to see them in the encyclopedia, which could have been, I could have hacked my way to make that work much easier. Okay, so when we drop an item, we're actually looking for a string, because we're just going to be searching for a string anyway. So xpgem drop item stuff, and we'll just go items.xpgem.names 0. Make sure when we construct the item, new item container.name equals item.names, so that we can find it by name. And I think these should all be static. No, what am I doing? Static items, where do we announce all the items? Yeah, here we go. Okay. I'll tell you one thing is I'm dying for a smoke. I've actually been quitting smoking on and off, and this morning I think that's one of the things that's distracted me, because I got a pack of cigarettes for my son's birthday, because my son's birthday ends up being so it's I have fun at my son's birthday. We have a few drinks, and grown-ups come too, and I got a pack of cigarettes for the occasion, just a 10-pack, and I want more. And I think that's kind of partly what's distracted me this morning and made me a bit slower. Oh yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Oh, they do. There's only one type called Sterling. So at the local co-op, the only one that sells 10-packs is the Sterling cigarettes, and they're horrible. They're like the worst kind, and there's no normal kind. They're all menthols. And yeah, so co-op sells 10-packs of Sterling. Sorry if that. Hopefully that doesn't mess with your plans. But yeah, Sterling does. And I don't know which places do it, but my local co-op does. Okay. So when we drop an item, we want to go stuff, items, like that. Yeah. Was it like American Candy Store, right? They're all fronts. Yeah, don't get me started on. We got Ipswich. The high street was absolutely ruined by American candy shops and Turkish barbers and all that stuff. Apparently, it was like that before I got here, but apparently before it was like you had loads of really interesting shops, nice food markets and stuff. But it has been absolutely ruined by You have a corner shop that's run by locals? That's insane. That sounds so nice. I remember when I was a kid, and I got to the point where I was like, oh, I want to look for a job now. I want to go find a job. I spent most of my time playing games, so I didn't know a lot about how the world worked and stuff like that. And I went to so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start, as if I was picking up side quests in World of Warcraft or something. I'm just gonna start where I am, and I'm just gonna go to every business and hand in my CV. And one of the first places that I handed my CV to was my local corner shop. It was just around the corner. And the way that this Indian or whatever they're from family looked at me, as I was like, "Can I have a job, please? Can I?" And they were like, "No, this job isn't for you. This job is for me and my family." And it's like, we don't need people like you. I don't know. It's just like. So I really struggled to find just some basic part-time work when I was a kid, just working wherever. I ended up getting a job at Habitat, and that went well for a while. But then I had my exams. Yeah. I mean, are you somewhere really rural and nice? I'm guessing you're not in a city or something. Hello, don't know why I'm here, lol. Are you, hello? I had someone come into the stream a couple days ago and just went lol, I'm pregnant. But yeah, thanks for joining. Don't know why I'm here. I don't recognize your name, so I'm guessing it's the first time. Yeah, true. Drop items. Yeah, okay. I probably could have done some clever find and replace here, but it's actually quite. Like I said, I'm kind of in bonus time. I'm kind of in bonus time because I'm further along this week than the stuff that I thought would take all week didn't take all week, and I've already done all of that, and now I'm kind of just doing the bits in between. Oh, okay, that sounds lovely. Don't let my code scare you, because mine leaves a lot to be desired. It's kind of like if you were to read in any language, if you see it's like if you were learning Spanish and then you go and look at a Shakespeare play in Spanish, it's going to look like a nightmare, but you just start by reading the small words. I can explain a little bit of what's going on, but this is kind of not great code anyway. But it's just writing. So if you go through slowly, it's not too bad, and just start small and work your way up. It's really not so bad. It's all stuff that you can understand. It's not that difficult. Okay, so when we initialize, we are asking for an item. And we actually just don't need to say stuff here. I think that's what it's saying. So, because we can just go items, make this item. Yeah, don't get what's it called? Don't be discouraged, because it's really not as bad as it looks. It's just certainly good code, right? Will have a lot of information crammed into a small piece, so it looks like magic. But what you might do at first is write readable but not efficient code. I think there are some examples. If you look at a pro if statement, It looks like it's very quick. But you can have more stretched out ones that are more readable but take more lines of code, and it's not actually clear which one's better because the space on the page doesn't make much difference. Okay, so add a container. Now we're just going to go through all these compile things, and then we're still going to be left with some issues. I think we're going to want to have, we've got to sort out compile stuff before we do anything else. Okay, Rainmaker. Okay, so it is actually asking for an item effect. So let's go back into make rain. And we should actually be asking for an item effect. And then down here we say item effect dot name. And then if item is not equal to null, that's going to work much better. Effect. Yeah, it's just a balance, isn't it? It's like any language. Like you could like the most efficient way to say something is not always the best way to say something, right? Like you could use a word that fully encapsulates how you feel, but and say quite a complicated thing in just one sentence, but actually you might want to stretch it out just for the sake of being able to like accentuate certain words, and so it's just like any language. Okay, got a bunch of these but not too many. So so now we can just say items dot sprite. To save each time. Okay, so this is Lur's special. So list item list equals new list item list equals new list. Okay. Item, and then it would be. So let's just get rid of stuff. And then let's get rid of prefab. And then let's do capitalize the ones that need capitalizing. And never again am I going to let AI help me to code. Like, or at least I'm not going to let it code for me. I can go and get some ideas from it and stuff and let it do little bits. But I tried vibe coding and I don't regret having done that, but it definitely slowed me down. I'm never doing it again. I'll die before it gets good enough. You know, an interesting point, like interesting rant about AI is so it's quite impressive that AI is like 90% of the way to being an intelligent person, right? But it's that last 10% that is that is really difficult to get. And you'll notice that if you learn a language, so like if you know someone, like maybe you know someone who lives near you who comes from another country and they've learned the language, and they'll be like 90% of the way there, but that last 10% is crucial. Even that last 2% is crucial, because you can tell that someone is not a native by that tiny little bit of that it's that last 10% that makes all the difference, right? And it's true in so many things. Like certainly in a game like RuneScape or a lot of RPGs with leveling up, that last 10 levels. So the joke in RuneScape is what is half of 99? It's 92, because that last 8 levels, that last 9 levels, it takes just as long as the first 90. And so the fact that AI is 90% there means it's really impressive sometimes, but it's that last 10% that it's going to really struggle to fill out, and I'm not sure it will in our lifetime, or at least not anytime soon. Okay. Drop item. Yeah, it's just like, it's amazing that AI has gotten to the point where it can, like, with 90% accuracy, mimic a human. It can 90% pass the Turing test. But which makes you think, well, then it's almost there then, right? It's only got a little bit further to go, and then it can pass a Turing test. There's that last 10% that is the hardest to get. Like my wife, for example, she's from Venezuela. Her English is 98% perfect, as in compared to a native. She's got a better vocabulary than most natives, but it's just that 2% of the time where she gets an expression wrong, or she pronounces a word in a different way, that lets you know that she's not from here. And I think that's kind of where AI is. It's like, oh, it's almost there. Like if you've got a paid subscription, you've got your own server farm of AI, it's like 98% there. But that last 2%, is what is going to be the difference between, do I want to, what was it, like a lot of companies has started like hiring people again because they've just realized that AI isn't as good and it's actually more expensive. Okay, so here we drop an item. Get pulled item asks for a string, so we go item contain items transform. I shouldn't use container to mean transform. God, there's so much spaghetti in this code. We'll get there. It works. Okay, what's the problem? Ah. Oh no. Because basically this is going to affect the static. I think that should be okay, but really what we're going to want to do is make a copy of an item when we make it. So when we give an item, like when we create an item, we're gonna want to say, don't just point to the one on the list. Make an item, like make a. item, new item equals item dot basically we have to make a copy. So that when we say, oh, make its effect more strong, it's not making the original more strong. Well, Blacksmith is a 3D game, technically. It's 2.5D. Human Factory is fully 3D. The problem is that 3D animation, not that it's necessarily harder to do than pixel art, but it's harder to make it look good, I think. And harder to optimize. But yeah, I've made 3D games. New item dot. So then what are the things that live in an item? Type, effect amount, sprite, audio clip. Okay, so we just need to copy this. New item dot. Item type equals item. So it's just like a full copy. Dot effect amount. So that's very redundant. Yeah, go for it. Have a nice smoke break. Yeah, so I think when I make an item, because I'm referencing a static object, it's like I guess I'll wait till you're back before I explain this. I want to go for a smoke break too. One of the things about smoking is it's nice to like just hop out for a bit and have something to do. Just go and stand in the sun for a second. But you know, I'll get over this hump. Right. Artifacts, drop item. Yeah, so drop. So we just go items dot summoner. Dot names. Items dot chicken. Items dot mana gem. Okay, any more? No, I think that's it. That was a pain in the ass. Yeah, just having a quick look rather than, yeah, and then let's get these just while I'm here. Sprites, symbols, UI. Here we go. Locked. Tick. Standard button sprite. Shiny button sprite. And then Plains Bridge. And then, yeah, I started to put these in because this is where they should go, but we're not using that yet. Okay, so missions, stages, achievements. Okay, so we need item sprites. Collector should be a magnet. And then soul. Just type it. Sprite. Okay, I'm gonna have to consume. Okay, and then item container prefab. So we should have items. Oh, I wonder if we can see. Nah, sadly not. Okay. Was I? So stuff. Yeah, maybe I can see. So prefabs, items. So for one thing, we should have like just a basic item prefab item. So I'll just copy this. Oh, never mind. Item container prefab, and that can just live in here for now. And then do these have? Yeah, they've got the they've got the audio sources, but not the clips. Okay, so these can all go. Is there anything I want to keep from them? Nope. Okay. So we need our sound effects. The sound effects are not tidy at all. Chicken, it's like a crunch sound. They call it chicken by any chance? No. Oh, crunch, yeah. Is that it? Mana gem. See, I really should have like had this stuff kept before I started refactoring this. I mean, I could like open an old version of the project just to see these things, but I think it is actually easier just to. I don't know if I had a sound for all of these. Let's get our item container prefab. Don't know if I had an audio clip for Soul. Collector. I don't remember hearing a sound every time I've gotten a collector. The chest happens like outside, because when you get a chest it's like a whole big deal. Like you don't just get an audio effect once you pick it up. The summoner, I'm not sure. The mana gem is just going to be one of these like random points gaining sounds. Might be that. Probably have to like kind of see if I can just make that a bit better. Shouldn't those all be in chests? Okay, let's just use this for now, because we're gonna have a big go at like sound effects at some point. Like I'm gonna want to like have everything ready and then do a big sound effects attack session. So collector, I can't even remember. Tobaccinated with tea. I'm jealous. Yeah, you're asking about item constructor. So if you're doing Unity tutorials, I went through this whole thing. So like, what they might tell you is make an item, and then you would have brackets like this. Is that right? And then you would have like effect amount, float, new effect amount, and then you would say float effect amount equals new effect amount, something like that, right? Or no, it was something like that. I can't remember what it is exactly, because I just don't do it like that anymore. I prefer to make it so that when I make an item, we have nothing in these brackets here, or we just don't have the brackets. And then, because yeah, I remember when I was learning it, and I was like, okay, that's how you make a thing. And I just found I had a much easier time if I just didn't bother with that. So I can just say, give me a new item. Poo equals, no, just let me say, item poo equals new item. And then I can just go, well, poo, and then it will do the default, right? It will just do the default however it's written here. So if effect amount is 1 or like 7, 8 by default, then it will give the effect amount 8. And then if I want to change it, I go poo.effect amount equals 15, right? Something like that. I just found that easier. I guess that's the thing, is like one finds their own methods, like of how it makes sense for them. Because I don't want to be like, yeah, I can't remember exactly why. It just seems easier to me, and I've kind of gotten into this method. And I actually did change up my style a bit. Like when I did the vibe coding, it was like, oh, that's an interesting way of doing things. So I did it like that, and I can see the strong points and the weak points, and I've kind of kept it. I used to have item on its own script basically, and it would just be I'd make an entire script just for that. and it would generally look like, I can't remember how it looked, but that's how you'll generally learn how. There's a different way that the tutorial will generally teach you, but that means that every time you declare it, you have to fill in those brackets. Whereas I find it's easier to just make the thing, and then anything I want to change about it, I just change about it, right? So instead of going, because I think the way you would have is XP gem item XP gem equals new item, and then you would give it the names, give it the descriptions. I forgot, stop auto filling. Descriptions. I guess it would just be name in the normal case, description, and you would put in, I guess, XP gem gives XP. Never mind this stuff. Has 2 item effect, and audio clip is the one is bomb audio is XP gem audio clip, and sprite is XP gem sprite, and that's how the tutorial taught me to make a thing. And in a way that's more tidy, isn't it? Why did I do it differently? But instead, I just say, here's an item, it's got this in it, and these are the defaults. Right? These can be the defaults. And then if we just say equals new item, it will just make a default item, and then I can just start doing. I think that's the thing. I think this is actually better, because if you... one of the reasons is every time you say new item, you're going to have to fill it in. But what if the numbers are exactly the same? What if you have a default? And I just want to say, look, all of this is exactly the same as all the others. The only thing that's different is it has a different sprite. I just go, you know, it's just simpler this way. Yeah. Well, yeah, so you see, this is not a mono behavior. This contains all the information that the items need, but this is not a mono behavior. You'll notice this doesn't have this bit. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I should read out, but this is what works for me, and it ends up being quite tidy. I guess the only issue that a lot of people would see is that I have to write super XP gem 10 times when that's not really necessary. There is a way around that, but it's not that big a deal. Like, it's sort of more typing, but if I just wanted to make another one, and I can just find and replace, you know. Yeah, I mean, the thing that gives me the most headaches is like noticing the difference. Like, for example, when we were looking at like, you could say, oh, this make the effect of this item double, but then it's like, are you talking about this item here, or are you talking about the item that's on the container? Because if the item that's on the container is referencing that item, then you're going to increase the power of this item. You're going to increase the power of all items that are referencing that, which is wrong. Because you'll be like, oh, then it will just get doubled every single time you double it. So you really want to say, make me a new, and which is why I went through this process, make me an entirely new item. And if you're, and with items it's easy, but like with weapon, for example, weapons, and this is something I learned from the vibe coding actually, is you're going to want, in a lot of cases, you're going to want to make a thing called copy thing. Oh, where is copy weapon? It's not in weapons? That seems silly. Copy weapon. Where you basically, and it's a bit of a pain because it means that every time you make a new thing on the weapon, you need to remember to put it here. So I don't know. I'm maybe not be doing it the best way, but the best way is the way you know, right? It's the way that you understand, the way that makes sense to you, and as long as there's no problems and as long as it's optimized, that's the best. And like obviously, it would be a bit of a pain if I had to change if I wanted to make a new one called like, I don't know, cheese. I would have to put it here. I would have to put it in 10 different places. But really the way it works is if I want to make a new stat on a weapon, I go weapon. Weapon. So I just control click here to get to the actual class. Public float cheese. And then I need to make, and then that's it. And then the way I do it is that's not going to mess with every time I make a weapon. I just need to say, oh no, cheese only applies to drum. Only the drum has cheese. So drum has cheese equals 5. I'm going to have to undo all of this. And then I just need to remember to put it here as well. Cheese equals source dot cheese. And then it's done. So it's not too bad. Because otherwise, if I said, oh, this buff this character's weapon by 5, it's going to buff the root of the weapon, which is going to do it for every single weapon, every single like object that is referencing that weapon. And that, to me, has been the biggest headache, is just navigating that kind of thought process. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, what did I call this stream? Okay, fixing items, good, because that is what it is now. It's nothing to do with the balancing thing. Good, okay. So we've assigned the audio here. We've, I think I need to change the descriptions, which didn't actually exist before. Gains 5 XP, gains 20 XP. I think it was more than that for the super ones, but I think the balancing of the whole game is going to change. So should be fun, should be a lot of work, but you know, it's a big metamorphosis the game's had. Alright, heals 50 HP and half for all allies, and 25 HP for all allies. Gains, I think it was 5. I think it was 10. So let's make it 10. Gains 10 mana. It's a real shame that like I could still go and open an old version of the project just to double check what these values were, or I can just kind of get it by vibe. It's the first time I'm writing these descriptions. Never had them, never lost them. Gets you. Oh, and I need to make sure. So in my notes of translations, all items. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just like fully customizable. So if I want to copy some things but not the others, you know. So I could make a copy class that's like, a lot of these things are just default, don't change that. But I don't know. C# is all I know, so I don't know other programming languages. How do I describe this? Gives you some prizes. We could add more information, like only upgrades existing stuff. Kind of just same in Vampire Survivors, where if you get a chest, it only ever upgrades the stuff that you already have. Collector. Draws. Collects all XP on the map. I think these big ones can have exclamations. Summoner summons. Actually, I don't think we need exclamation. It just seems like a big deal, but we'll keep it on the chest, but not. Like it's like you'll figure out how the chest works. Summons some allies. I think 8 allies. Oh, the other thing that is an advantage to the way that I like to do it is that I could say, and maybe this would be a good way to do it moving forward, right? I could say summons sadly I have to do dot string if it's a perfectly round float, I shouldn't have to say don't add decimals. But you see how that works? And then I can just say 10, and that will say 10. It will reflect the actual number. And I would just need to make sure that descriptions comes after. But you see how that works? I'm just going to undo that because that's not the way it's not consistent. But that would be slightly better optimized, wouldn't it? Damages all enemies. I don't think we need to say how much by. Yeah, like, I think so. I think this is the best way. I mean, the thing that happens is you'll like that, and I don't know. Maybe there is some like holy standard that this is how you're supposed to do it, and I should be doing it like that. But it's like, you know, like it's like Warcraft, the MMO. It's like it's already been solved. Like we've already figured out what is the best stats for a damaged based mage, and what is the best spell rotation for them to use. It's been solved. We don't need to think about it. But like, so maybe this has been solved and I shouldn't be like going off the rails and doing it my own way. But then that's the funny thing. It's like I did some vibe coding, and the vibe coding was like, well, no, the best way to make a new item is to say all items. So the way that the AI suggested was to do all items.add new item, and then put all the stuff in there, right? Names, so on, descriptions, like it, and then I would construct the item in here. But that doesn't work because that doesn't work if I want to have like anything more complicated than a float. Like if I wanted to have my own things in there, it's not as good. But maybe it is depending on the kind of thing you're making, right? Like I guess the way I'm doing it maybe uses more memory because we actually have this concept called a bomb at the beginning, whereas the way the AI suggested might have been slightly cleaner. But we're not worried about disk space, especially at my level. We're not worried. I mean, I'm not at the point where I'm like splitting up integers, but you know, splitting up integers between 1 and 32. Like I learnt that at Jagex. I was like, that's some mad magic that you need if you're going to be probably making a mobile game, or if you're going to be making an MMO, which I have no intention of doing. I think the game is how big is Warbeans? How big is Army of Survivors? Wish there was a button just to... properties. It's less than half a gigabyte. It's less than a third of a gigabyte. So we're not worried. Like, no one's gonna give a shit if I can like slightly better optimize this in terms of disk space. So I don't know why Unity made it. No, I haven't played Tribal Wars. Is that going to be exactly like this game? Is it going to be like, oh, by the way, everything you're doing, someone's already done? Okay, close enough to not mine. Oh, okay. I've seen games like this. Pay to play, yeah, okay. Yeah, interesting. What made you mention Tribal Wars? Damage on enemies, soul, gains, HP. Oh, and buffs. Okay, we can tidy that up later. So, Jesus Christ, this took all morning and most of the afternoon yesterday. Oh, hey, Judge Dredd, welcome back. Thanks for joining again. I've been. It's taken me the latter part of yesterday afternoon and this entire morning to get items back to working, which has been really upsetting. Okay, yeah. Which, yeah, so I shouldn't have bothered with this. This has not made the game better. This has not made it more optimized. I could have achieved the same result in a matter of minutes or tens of minutes. Without having to go through all of this. It's basically just like, I wanted to make it so that you could see items in the encyclopedia, because items were working on the, like, instead of having an item and an item constructor and a sort of library where we could see all information about the items, there was a list of prefabs which just had all of it there. And I thought, oh, that's not how I do it. That's not how I want to do it. Let's do it differently. And I changed it, and I thought it would just be a simple matter, but there's actually lots of dependencies and shit. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how simple games can end up being quite complicated. Or complicated games can actually turn out to be quite simple. Okay, can I just, out of interest, can I go to encyclopedia, items? Okay, yeah, so I don't think I've actually done this. This is what I'd started doing, and then I noticed it was going to be a problem. So we go options menu. Okay, case, stages. And we just find all instances of that, and then underneath there should also be items. So generate stages, generate items. Okay. Okay, so why isn't that happening? But let's just continue as if we didn't know that that didn't work. So carry on looking for instances of stages. Yep, here we go. So this is the back button. And if we're... Oh no, this is... Ah, okay, yeah, no, this is the actual bit where we do it. So that's why that didn't work. So we take items, and then we generate items. So no wonder that didn't work. Let's get rid of the debug, because I'm not going to need it. Generate items. Yeah, well, back in the day, like they had to worry about disk space a lot more. I think like I was just bragging about how my game is like sub 300 megabytes. I think oh, what was the size? How much space was on an old PS1? And I think Abe's Odyssey was one of those like 2 or 3 disc games. I think it was a 2-disc game. 660 megabytes, so not that much more, you know, and that was a much bigger game with a lot more going on. Yeah. And they would have animated sprites. So it like looks 3D, but it's actually 2D. Oh wait, item splat prefab. Splat item. No? Oh, I'm looking console. Oh, why did that go away? Interesting. Oh, I think it was just loading, probably. Yeah, no, I absolutely loved Abe's Odyssey. I didn't love the new one, and I didn't really like spend much time thinking about why. Okay, summoner. Was that a mistake? So items. What is it? Summoner. Okay, yeah, still more work to do. Summoner sprite. Okay, so when we click on options menu, when we click on so this is the back button, but actually okay, yeah, we need to go into the actual button itself, but stage is stage. Let's do items item, and if it's an item we generate items, and if it's items we generate root menu. That'll be the same, yeah. And then encyclopedia button, press encyclopedia button. Okay, yeah, we'll do copy this. Yeah, like I don't get. Yeah, is it the wildlife? I think part of it is it's just not good enough to just release a dated game as it was, you know. But it did feel a lot more paint by numbers, and there was a really bad design choice where like, oh god, I could waffle about like it's like, you know, broken window theory. It's like the idea that if there's a broken window in a town, you're more likely to like litter and stuff, and you don't care. It's like, so it's quite straightforward to rescue every single Madokan, but then there's a specific point where it's suddenly there's a couple Madokans that are really hard to rescue, which leaves you like, oh, feeling really bad if you can't rescue those two. Whereas if the game like intentionally killed a couple at the beginning, then If the game intentionally killed a couple at the beginning, then you wouldn't feel so bad if more died later. The best example of this is Dark Souls, where it kills you right at the beginning, like forcefully, meaning that you don't feel so bad if you die later. It's like, and then Final Fantasy Rebirth does a good job of this. It's like, it doesn't let you see any mini games that you're going to have trouble doing. Like, all the side quests that you have access to early on are really like quite easy to 100%, but then it's only much later that it adds side quests that are a lot more difficult. The tree is just a placeholder for buildings and everything. It's just a placeholder sprite. Yeah, I think I could just show you quickly. So if we look at the game, so this is going to be a map. So this is the human base. So that's going to look like a town. This is just a button for the free play, which probably will end up just looking like a button. The bush is a placeholder for a like a map node, like a level in Super Mario. You know, you click on the level and the guy moves there and the level starts. And then these are all, I think this is meant to be a church. This is meant to be a barracks. This is meant to be a castle. So yeah, they're just placeholder sprites. And the tree was a good one because it was just, I don't know why I picked the tree. Encyclopedia open item. And then we go open stage, and we'll copy that and make it work for item. And it's basically the same. We don't need to know anything else about it. So now it's taken a long time. And did you see how at the end of the bit that was actually important, which is the encyclopedia, that took 10 seconds. That took a minute. I just needed to make the items accessible from a library. Whereas I could have... I guess because it didn't actually have a name, but goddamn, I could have just put the name on the prefab. This is cleaner, this is better code, this is more standardized, this is fine. But goddamn, it wasn't really necessary. It's not gonna materially, like, wow, I'm leaving a bad review because I can't see, I'm getting a refund because I can't see a window where all the items are explained. Like, god damn it. God diggity damn it. Alright. Oh, what a effing disaster. Right, okay. There. Off the list. Yeah. Yeah. Good question. So I didn't use Blender. I use I might be able to show you. I don't use Blender, I use Maya. And it's actually, I was really impressed by how well it did that. Human Factory. Oof, haven't opened this project in a while. But yeah, so I have this tentacle. And it's got bones inside it. Actually, I'm not sure if this version of the project is even runnable, but so we have scenes. But yeah, short answer, yeah. Like it's so you can create you'll make your object in 3D, and you'll generally have your like your bones and your weights on the bones. So I have this tentacle, and it's made up of a bunch of little bones, and they softly move each of the vertices and the polygons, so it will like bend smoothly. And then I just literally import that object into Unity, and it will have the exact same thing. I don't know about things like inverse kinematics and stuff like that, but I think it can, and it does. This was a mistake. Well, so I've explained it. I'm not going to show it. But yeah. Stalk soil. I don't know. Right. Think of a new name for. So I want to do a couple things that I can do, because I'm going to stop in half an hour to go get my son. Update key art to pick with night. That's going to have to happen after lunch. Like, I just need to go through, because I just think the picture of the night is much better than the current key art that we have. Just update the key art. It's very important. That's another thing about marketing. Don't be like me. Don't be doing your key art now. Like, that shit is important. Encyclopedias should show more stats for characters. So while we're here, so we go open character. So encyclopedia button. Hero. Okay, dot upgrade. Like where? Where do we actually oh god, yeah, he was like me when I was trying to rescue Human Factory and do it a bit differently. But yeah, you see you got this tentacle here. So I made this in Maya, and I made it with all the bones and everything, and you export it as like an object. And so in this case, what's tentacle smooth? I don't know what tentacle smooth is, but here's the skeleton. And it actually does a great job of like maintaining the smoothness of it. There's a lot of bones in here. You see that? And you just import that. And then as far as the animation goes, I think you can import an animation, but you can also just make them in here. So it's pretty impressive how it does that. Anyway, enough of Human Factory. Yeah, I mean, the thing where characters respond to, like, it's not that bad. You just need to think about it. It's like precise collisions and stuff. That's just like the physics model. So you have like objects that are tied together, and it's just making colliders and giving them weights and giving them, and having them collide in a realistic way. That's not hard. The hard thing is like, yeah, it's actually not that complicated. That's all been solved for you, basically. Like, people have made these physics systems, and you don't have to make them. You don't have to think about if my shoulder is impacted with this much force, but it's connected to a body that weighs this much. How is it going to move? You just need to tell it the weights and throw the object at it, and it will do it. You don't need to worry about all of that. This is the old tree. I'm just going to delete that. Okay, so So when I click on, yeah, where's the bit where open hero? And then that's the same for character. So actually we just want open character, and we do actually want all of the information. So we want to know if, and this is where for each stat and stats would be nice, but if max, so we want to know HP, yeah, max HP. We want to know speed. We want to know attack speed. What are they? Character. So yeah, let's do this properly. Not conceptually. So a character has speed, mana. So we actually want to know if max mana and yeah, like weirdly it's like I have to do it. Like I don't want to always see. I want to see if it's different from the norm. So like speed. Yeah. And then it would be like, it's like an if statement. So if, so yeah, let's get options menu. I think that exists. Pixar style animation for a Unity game. Yeah, that exists. That exists. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but there are plenty of 3D games that are made in Unity, for sure. Another Crab's Treasure. I don't know what that was made in, but you could totally make it in Unity. I've started playing Tunic. I managed like literally 2 minutes before I got summoned away. So yeah, what's going to be the best way to do this? I think this will look like yucky looking code, but so we have options menu, and we're going to want characters next to it, just so we can quickly reference. So max mana. So we want to do like, so that's that. If character, if upgrade dot ally dot max armor is greater than 0, LCL dot text plus equals max armor. What would be nice to do is like a for each loop with the stats, but never mind. And LCR dot text plus equals upgrade dot ally dot max armor. And then that should show that it has armor and tell me how much, as long as it's higher than 0. So that would work. Stats max armor. So we would want to basically do this for each stat, and actually open hero should be open character. And that's going to cause some errors, which is good, because then we know which bits of code we have to change. Yeah. I like the Toy Story games as well. Yeah, so I mean, I think you could either have the 3D-ness in Unity, but actually, you know what? Like, I think you are actually really onto something there, because I don't think anyone's done that. I was talking about Donkey Kong as well. I don't think anyone's made that kind of game in a while. Like, they either go for the full pixel graphics or they go for the full 3D graphics, but the 3D baked into 2D. So you take the 3D image and you take pictures of it and you use that to make your 2D animation, has a certain feel to it. And I don't think we've seen that for a while. Like the late Super Nintendo retro vibes, I think, would be really good. And then when we open character, this should just also be... And then open hero, do we do that as well? Open character. Yeah, we get all the upgrades that it has. And then if the ally has a death rattle... So yeah, we just want all of this. Open character, upgrade ally. That should work. If not, then we'll make it work. That's how it ought to be. And then we can just overwrite this. And then we're looking at not upgrade.ally. We want character. Right.
Hey, baby.
I'm gonna get Cyrus.
You're nice. Just putting clothes away.
Okay. Yeah, I think a game in the style of classic Toy Story or Donkey Kong would actually, I reckon people would really dig that look. Especially if you could get, like, figure out what the resolution of the Woody or the Donkey Kong was and get it like that and get it just spot on like that and just a 2D platformer with some cool mechanics. Because the temptation is just to do it in 3D. Like, you've made the 3D model, you've made it move and do all of that. Why not just keep it in 3D, even if it's presented in 2D? But if you actually just did it like, rendered it like old Donkey Kong, I think that would be really cool. Okay, so we have open character. Okay, so max mana would be only if the character... So if character dot... where do we say if character is hero? Character dot... We could just say characters if characters dot heroes dot contains character, then max mana. And then we just need to go through each stat and make this. So speed. And then these multipliers, like if they don't have an attack speed multiplier, don't show it. So we'll say if character dot, as far as I know, none of them have damage multipliers, but if damage character dot damage X is not equal to 1, is that right? Then and we would do that for each stat. Maybe not all of them, because most of these don't change. Like, characters don't inherently have different range or knockback or AoE or crit rate, but they do have evasion chance because the ghost. And actually none of them have damage X, but they do have attack speed X. And I guess you just say attack speed of 1 is standard, 0.9 is substandard. Yeah, character dot attack speed X. We'll see how it reads when we look at it. And then evasion chance. And this would be if it's greater than 0. And then what are the other ones that actually change a bit? Lifesteal. Just if the things that characters might natively have a buff in. Spawn interval. I think they all have spawn interval. I guess we could say size. So actually these would be like near the top. We would actually just definitely want size. But actually I think this is more readable anyway, just to add it rather than have it done like this. We just say this is much more readable. And then spawn speed is actually something that's universal. Ah, and this is a really bad mistake on my part, but spawn speed. No, we want spawn rate. And this would actually be only if they're not a hero. Spawn interval. I think spawn rate sounds better. That's a nice name. So we're almost done here. Spiked armor. So none of them have these stuff by default. There's no characters that start with a damage multiplier or crit rate or anything like that. So let's test that out. We should have more information about the characters now. Oh yeah, yeah. Ah. $71 point what? That seems mad. Speed. Oh, and we're going to need that. Ah, I see what's happened there. Right, okay. Silly me. It goes down to attack speed, but then... So we might need to like make this a bit bigger so we can see a bit more. But at least the code is there. Why does that scroll bar exist? And then we should do the same for weapons. Although it doesn't feel like a priority right now. So open weapon, grade dot weapon. Yeah, so we want to see like if weapon dot damage. So if upgrade dot weapon dot damage is not equal to 0, then show me this is Unity. Plus equals /n plus weapon dot, and first we would just want lcl dot text equals nothing. lcr.text nothing. And then actually I think the space should come after. Yeah, and then we'll do dot to string f1 in for the character as well. Except, does it? Yeah, it gives a point even if there is no. I need to look into this more. Like I want it to be maxed. Like only show me the decimal if there is actually a decimal. But yeah, attack speed is one that can go a bit all over the place. Oh, you can hear the cat. Good. I wonder how much you guys can hear. Can you hear my wife singing? Yeah, the cats want attention. Can you hear the baby? Yeah, they're getting quite old. He just meows like that sometimes. He can come in here if he wants. Astro? But yeah, I'm not the only one in the house. So we got the string thing where it's going to count, and then for the weapon GML, I don't know what GML is. Okay, good. Yeah, the cat's up here, I think. So we do damage, if attack speed. Well, we're definitely going to want to know attack speed. Oh, I don't know that. So damage, attack speed, range. Yeah, all weapons have range. So I guess we should know damage regardless, because even if the damage is 0, like that's relevant information. Attack speed, also AoE. So we go range. He's also like, what that cat tends to do is is like tends to molest his sister. Yeah. Code all day, sunbathe, and yeah, bit of walking, bit of gaming maybe, hopefully if there's time. And trying to quit smoking, right? So then we have, yeah, AoE. Every weapon has AoE. Although no, let's do any weapons have 0? What I can do is look at the default. So AoE starts at 1. Yeah, every weapon has some AoE, I think. Every weapon has a tiny bit of knockback, but not every weapon has crit rate. So we will do the if statement for... Let's do the if statement for AoE as well. AoE. I do it all on stream. So generally about 6 hours, give or take. If I do more than that, I make horrible mistakes. Crit rate. And of course, when I go to sleep, I'm always thinking about it. Right. And there's actually more stats. Oh, we put some of it on the right. Because we can only fit so many on the left. I see, but then the characters have their upgrades on the right. So we might need to make this a scroll view. Okay. Yeah, RCL, RCR. Okay, good. All right. So if upgrade dot weapon chain is greater than 0. I think there is a way that I could just make it overflow. So it comes in bits, but I'm not going to worry about that today because the whole UI might change anyway. So okay, so then we go RCL dot text plus equals. So we'll just copy this and then do it for chain and RCR chain. And this is an int, so we don't really need this, but do I still need dot to string though? No? Okay, good. And I used to put, like, before I had children, I put in like 12 hours a day. Not even kidding. A lot of that time was spinning my wheels, and that was when I was smoking weed, like, a lot. I don't do that anymore. I do it for fun occasionally now, and that probably slowed me down. I was probably spending a lot of time just sitting there like zoning out, to be honest. Pierce. In case anyone watching is smokes weed, like, I'm not like, but for me, it's like going from 720p on a potato to like 720p 1 gigahertz to like 4K 16 gigahertz. That's the difference, like, in brain power. But I smoked a lot, like, mileage will vary. Like, smoke, if you smoke like socially, that's a different thing. But I used to smoke every day, and a fair bit. Like, it was a problem. Split. Is split even still a thing? Okay. And if I could finish this in time, because I can leave any time between now and 5 minutes from now. Yeah, I'm going to say that this little chunk of work is done, and I'm going to end the stream here, and I'll be back at 1 p.m, give or take, maybe 5 p.m. Sorry, maybe 5 p.m. Maybe 15 minutes more or less, depends on like when I finish lunch and stuff. So I'll be back at 1. Thanks people for joining, really appreciate, especially Jack and Judge Dredd. Really appreciate the regular viewers. And I'll be back at 1. And what are we going to do? I think I'm just going to call her Rania and take that off the list, because it can't be Beanie. Rania might tell you that she's his sister, so I'm going to call her Jania. Does that sound like Jaina? Yeah, give or take 4 hours. Let's do. I'm just gonna change her bloody name. Beanie, and we're gonna take all instances of the word beanie in the game. Beanie, and replace it with Jania. Jania. Yeah, and we can change it later if we think of something better. The thing is, once you make a name, that's it. Names have power, but we have just changed our name, and we'll have to like reassign the sprites and everything. But we'll notice that pretty quickly. In fact, let's just do that quickly. This is how I used to spend more than 12 hours a day doing work, because there's always just another little bit to do. Characters. And where's Beanie? It doesn't matter if the sprite's still called Beanie. There we go. Done. All right. Cheers. See you at 1. Have a good lunch. Bye.